We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hello, judges, teachers, parents, and fellow Americans. My name is AXTON HOPSON, and I'll be sharing what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means to me. According to Brock Pierce, life is a process that creates itself and evolves itself into different forms. Living beings are here because we change our forms through death and growth. To me, life's to have fun and keep going through hardship and loss. Life is a roller coaster that goes through sadness, doubt, and every human emotion. Life is a blessing and a curse. Life is something that cannot be taken away from you because you have the right to live. Even though the Declaration of Independence was written 245 years ago, it gives all of us the right to live as equals. Liberty is having the right to live life to its fullest, to be free of unnecessary restrictions, to be who you want to be, whether you're white, black, or any other races. As Nelson Mandela once said, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live life in a way that respects others. This quote helps me understand liberty, and he is right. When we are together, we are stronger. You can change someone, and they can change you. And because of change, I can go to school with different people, and I can have friends of different race. Pursuing your happiness is to open your heart and obtain what you love. And happiness is the feeling of joy when you're playing with your friend or when you're doing something you love. Think to yourself, do you love what you do? Do you wake up thinking, wow, this is going to be a good day? Do you love your life? And have you pursued your happiness? Because when you're happy, you have the right to love your life. And you have the right to love the ones you love. I have explained what these three things mean to me, but I cannot say what they mean to you. You cannot have one of these things without the other. If you do not have life, there's no liberty. If you don't have liberty, then you cannot have happiness. We are lucky to live in a place where we have these rights, because we are Americans. As Barack Obama once said, it is our general goal to make these works, these rights, these values of liberty and the pursuit of happiness true for every American. Only we, as Americans, can change our country. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is CAMILA Childs, and an example of patriotism that I would like to share with you is Susan B. Anthony and women's suffrage. I feel that women's suffrage was an important event in history that shaped who we are as a country today. Women's rights were not always what they are today. Before 1920, women could not vote, and many were not allowed to work, and if they did work, they were paid less than men. According to education.gov, when Susan B. Anthony worked as a teacher in the late 1800s, she was paid $4 to $10 a month. Meanwhile, male teachers were paid over $20 a month. Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights because she felt that it was wrong that women did not have the same rights as men. Anthony also spoke publicly about the need for higher pay for female teachers and for more professional opportunities for women. Going against the traditions of her time, Anthony cut her hair short and wore pants like a man. She did this to prove that women could wear whatever they wanted to wear because it's their decision. Anthony once said, "Women must not depend upon the protection of a man, but must be taught to protect herself." Anthony was a brave patriot, and her words are powerful. A quote from Susan B. Anthony. "The older I get, the more power I seem to have to help the world. I am like a snowball. The further I am rolled, the more I gain." And what this quote means to me is that you should continue to do what you think is right and never give up. Anthony died in 1906, unfortunately nearly 15 years before women's suffrage came to be. She once said, "Failure is impossible." So if you ever feel like something is difficult, let her example motivate you, as Susan B. Anthony was a hero, a patriot, and a great leader. Each and every one of us can change and shape the future of the upcoming generations. Thank you, Susan B. Anthony, for teaching us as women that we can have a voice and an opinion. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, judges, fellow contestants, and parents. My name is TATUM Farmer from Paseo Verde Elementary, 6th grade. Have you ever wondered what brought democracy to America and why? Democracy has changed, grown, and evolved over centuries. Democracy started a long time ago. While democracy here in America is not how it started, it has evolved and is important to the foundation of America. Where did democracy begin? Democracy began in ancient Greece called Athens around the 5th century BCE. In the year 507 BC, the Athenian leader Cleisthenes introduced a system of political reforms he named Demokratia, what we know today as democracy. Cleisthenes wanted to break up the power of nobility. He wanted to give power to the people of the land, not only to the wealthy. Athenian democracy was a direct democracy, made up of three important institutions. The Ecclesia, a sovereign governing body that wrote laws and dictated foreign policy. The Bull, a council of representatives from the 10 Athenian tribes. And the Dicasteria, the popular court in which citizens argued cases before a group of lottery-selected jurors. The Athens definition of citizens is very different from our modern-day citizens. Only free men were considered citizens in the Athens. Women, children, and slaves were not considered citizens, so they were not allowed to vote. What does our modern-day democracy look like? There are three different types of branches for government: the legislative, executive, and judicial. The first branch, the legislative, makes the laws, declares war, controls taxing and spending policies, and regulates foreign commerce. The second branch, the executive, carries out and enforces laws. And the third branch, the judicial, is called the court system, and it reviews all our laws. These branches create the checks and balances. This prevents any branch from having too much power. The United States is a representative democracy. This means that our government officials and president are elected by citizens. Every 4 years, Americans get to elect the president they want to lead their country. Democracy is important to me because the people, the citizens, get to vote for the president they want to lead their country. We are incredibly lucky here in America because we have the privilege to vote when we're only 18 years old. Our government allows us to be represented in many different ways. We can elect officials at city and state level. We can also elect senators and representatives, not just our president. Another reason democracy is important to me because it provides the opportunity for its citizens to run for elected office. There have been changes in progress to democracy that has formed America and the world we know democracy today. It began as only a selected few in Greece, where today any American citizen has the opportunity to vote. Our government broke up the governmental powers into three different branches to prevent too much power from one group. And democracy is important because it gives power to the people of the land, not only to the wealthy. Harry Emerson Fosdick once said, "Democracy is based upon the conviction that there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people." Thank you.
Have you ever wondered how our American pledge was created, on who made it and what it means to us, on how everything and the flag, on how our pledge represented the world and the world that speaks our pledge? Hello contestants, judges, and parents. My name is MARIANO ORTIZ and I represent Peoria Elementary School. Today, my speech is about the American Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance, written in August of the year 1892, was written by a minister named Francis Bellamy, published to the world a month later on September 8, 1892, hoping it would soon be read by the world. Originally, our pledge read, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Many years later, the pledge and poem itself it changed. In the year 1923, 8 more words were added to the phrase. The words, "To the flag of the United States of America." This time it read, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Another 31 years later go by, 1954. The pledge was changed once more. Congress decided to add the words, "Under God," creating the pledge we say today in school, citizenship ceremonies, placing your left or right hand over your heart and saying our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The original salute by Bellamy began with a military salute. After an adding reciting the words, "To the flag," you had your arm extended towards the flag, resembling Hitler and the Nazis from World War II. The pledge resembled the Nazis and Hitler a bit too much. From then, it was changed to the hand over the heart. The Pledge of Allegiance has evolved over time. 130 years ago, our American pledge was created. From resembling the Nazis and Hitler to the hand over the heart. The Pledge of Allegiance resembles our nations around the world, different nations and unions. This is the world that speaks our pledge. Explaining the flag resembles what our flag means to me and what it means to us. And this is what the American Pledge of Allegiance means to me. Thank you.
Welcome judges, fellow contestants, and fellow spectators. My name is MAKAYLA Best. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a patriot who once said, "I have a dream today, and if America is to become a great nation, this must become true." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did many things that stand out most to me. Peaceful protests, speeches, and marches. These are ways Dr. King showed his patriotism and helped change the world for me today. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Peaceful protests, marches, and speeches. This is what Dr. King did to show his patriotism. Dr. King used his rights to a peaceful protest to get his point across and said that rebellious protests have their mark in America. So he did peaceful protests. In August 1963, 200,000 people or more came to the March on Washington. The topic of Dr. King's march was on the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The gathering happened on August 28, 1963. According to Benchmark Advance, student book 2 days after President Johnson's speech, Congress introduced new voting rights into law. Dr. King did 11 speeches from 1957 to 1963. And his most famous speech was his "I Have a Dream" speech because he was bringing the world together to share his dream. Dr. King's speech started with a dream. He said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out its true meaning of creed. We hold to be self-evident that all men be created equal. His example makes me think I have the courage and ability to stand up and be a patriot for what I believe in." In conclusion, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. helped shape the world for me and an excellent amount of colored children around the world today.
Good afternoon, judges, guests, and participants. Today I'll be discussing with you the development of strength and patriotism. Patriotism is good in some, and some it can develop. Patriotism can be used for many different things. Young citizens have to encourage adults to vote. This is because some adults don't vote, and the state needs their vote to pick a president or any political office position. Not only can it pick a political office position, it can help schools, parks, and any community place to go to. Young citizens have to make wise choices and help their community. They can do this by volunteering to helping, picking up trash, and helping senior citizens and helping with community activities. In the 1960s, a Suffolk solicitor began to worry that young citizens weren't learning enough about the rules and responsibilities of their country. Patriotism is good in some, but with these responsibilities, it can create strong moral code, and with the help of young citizens following these responsibilities, they can help their community grow. Thank you.
Welcome judges, teachers, and peers. I'll be presenting my thoughts about the Pledge of Allegiance. You should know that the first Pledge of Allegiance was written by Francis Bellamy in August 1892. The Pledge of Allegiance was later published in September of the same year. We've been saying the Pledge of Allegiance for over 100 years. I believe that the Pledge of Allegiance is important because of the phrases, with liberty, justice for all, and the meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance to me. The Pledge of Allegiance has changed over time. These are a couple phrases that are important. The phrase with liberty in the Pledge of Allegiance is important to me because the phrase has strength and freedom. According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of liberty is the state or condition of people who are able to act and speak freely. Merriam-Webster also states that liberty is a political right. Another definition of liberty is the power to do what you want to do. That's what the phrase with liberty means to me. The end phrase, justice for all, in the Pledge of Allegiance is important because the phrase is meaningful and bold. According to Google, the definition of justice is behavior or treatment. A similar word is fairness because of the statement for all. Another definition of justice from Merriam-Webster states the process or result of using laws to punish and judge crimes and criminals. That's what the phrase justice for all means to me and a lot of other people. The Pledge of Allegiance to me is especially important because the pledge makes us remember the flag. What the pledge also means to me is freedom and peace because in the morning I'm a little stressed out. The Pledge of Allegiance is short and I think we should say it every day at school. The entire pledge is important because of its simplicity and meaning behind the flag. The pledge is a formal way to salute our flag. The pledge makes me and others feel important. Therefore, the Pledge of Allegiance is important because of its overall meaning to the flag. We have been saying the Pledge of Allegiance for over 125 years, and I don't think we should stop saying it. That's what the phrases in the Pledge of Allegiance mean to me. The flag is important to pledge to every day because of the lack of people who respect the flag and the country. Overall, that's what the Pledge of Allegiance means to me and other people. Thank you for listening to me speak about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Welcome parents, judges, and guests. The time is always right to do what is right. Those famous words were said by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Have you ever wondered who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is? He was a preacher, he was a father, and he was a great leader of the American Civil Rights Movement. If you never heard of him, I'm going to be talking about him in my speech. So I hope you will enjoy my speech and I hope you learn about Dr. King. Did you know Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist minister? He was an activist who became the most visible spokesman and leader in the American Civil Rights Movement in 1955 until his assassination in 1968. He wanted America to be free and equal for everyone. He made a lot of great speeches and will travel all over the world and tell anyone that will listen that America is a great country that should be free and equal for everyone. He is popular for being a civil rights legend. He has some of the most iconic speeches that helped a lot of people all over the years. He changed the world because he was responsible for the American Civil Rights Act in 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. He made a speech called I Have a Dream that was and yet still is popular. The speech was on the steps at the Lincoln Memorial on the March for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963, to a crowd of more than over 25,000 people. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed in equality and rights for everyone. Even though he was in prison nearly 30 times, he did so much for a lot of people, and yet we still remember him today. In my opinion, I think he is a great person who changed a lot of people's lives through all the years. A lot of you probably think his first speech called I Have a Dream was his first speech on Lincoln's Memorial, but it actually wasn't. Dr. King actually received his doctorate in systematic theology. A lot of you think his birth name is Martin, but it's actually Michael. His holiday was on a Monday, and on January 17th in 2022, we remember and honor him every year for how he helped shape the American Civil Rights Movement. So this was my speech on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I hope you all enjoy my speech and thought you was a great man like I do. Thank you all for listening to my speech.
Welcome judges, fellow contestants, and audience. Today I am going to teach you how you can be a good citizen. When you're a 5th grader, you might think you're just a little kid in this big society, but you're not. You can be so much more. You can be what's called a good citizen. Charles Handy once said, "Citizenship is the chance to make a difference to the place you belong," which means you can have citizenship by making the place you live better. Being a good citizen means being a good part of society and helping others all the time. You can be a good citizen by doing things that can help your society, and doing those things can have big outcomes. Here are 4 examples of how to be a good citizen. Example number 1, be open-minded. Instead of forming an opinion and not letting anybody else disagree with it, you should be open-minded and listen to other people's opinions. Example number 2, pick up garbage. Sometimes my dad, my little brother, and I take the dog for a walk. We'll do a little contest on who can pick up the most trash until the walk is over. Last time we did it, I was surprised about how much trash was thrown in the grass instead of a trash can. There were cups, plastic bags, and a couple of soda cans. So sometimes you can help by going on little trash walks and picking up things here and there. And never throw your trash anywhere other than a trash can. When you throw your trash on the ground, it's called littering. And littering is never a good thing. Example number 3, recycle. You should take the time to throw recyclable items in the recycling bin, such as soda cans and cardboard. Recycling helps keep landfills from filling up and makes things a lot easier for the company that made the item. Example number 4, help others. Sometimes if you're at school and someone is struggling on a worksheet that you have already completed, you can go and ask them if they need any help. Also, if your neighbor's car looks a little dirty, you can surprise them and clean their car. I've done it with my dad once. You should also be honest, follow rules, be compassionate, and take full responsibility for your actions. Doing these things can help your city, country, or even the world. There are so many other ways to be a good citizen, such as respecting the rights of others and being a good neighbor. So always remember to be a good citizen and help others. Thank you so much for listening.
Patriotism. What does it mean? Many say it's a way to think of yourself as a loyal citizen. I think it's patriotism to our country. Welcome teachers, judges, guests, and fellow contestants. My name is ASHTON and I am here to speak about patriotism and what it means to our country. Thomas Woodrow Wilson, born December 28, 1856. Throughout his school years, he always had an interest in American government. For example, in his senior year, he published an entire essay about the American government. Later on in life, he would get a doctorate at Johns Hopkins University. In his thesis, he had seen the American political system and showed the most fractured power from the Congress. When he gets older, he would become the 26th president. He showed great fear of the imperial country Germany winning World War I, but he still led us into that war no matter how scared he was. On September 30th, 1918, he spoke amongst the Congress and guaranteed women the right to vote. Before then, only males could vote. That's how Thomas Woodrow Wilson was patriotic to his country. Alexander Hamilton, some know him from his play. I know him as a founding father of the USA and my hero. When he was just 17, he dropped out of high school to fight in the Revolutionary War. When the Boston Tea Party became ablaze, he wrote an essay protecting the colonists of the Act. He was always against the British way, and as George Washington respected this act, he allowed him to fight on the colonist side. The Federalist Papers. He wrote 51 of 85 essays for the papers. Wow, not even I could do that. During the Battle of Yorktown, the soldiers were ready to give up and surrender, but Alexander Hamilton was not going to let that happen. He performed an entire speech and totally influenced the entire troop. After they won the war, George Washington became president and had Alexander Hamilton as his right hand. That's how Alexander Hamilton was loyal to his country. Benjamin Clark. Not many recognize the name. Not even I did, but after learning about him, I knew he had to be in this speech. Benjamin Clark was a chef and a former Marine, and he died a hero, and I think it's unfair that he's an untold one. On September 11, 2001, two terrorists hijacked two planes and crashed them into the Twin Towers. There are many first responder heroes that day, but some of them weren't first responders. When the Twin Towers were attacked, Benjamin was on the 96th floor of the South Tower. His instincts immediately kicked in, and he saved hundreds of people from floor 96 to 78. When he hit floor 78, he paused. He saw an elderly lady in a wheelchair, and he rushed her down immediately. She made it out alive, but he unfortunately died. He had a wife and a child that he had peacefully left. That's how Benjamin Clark was loyal to his country. In conclusion, these three men have proved my point that throughout history, patriotism is loyalty to our country. Not loyalty to who we are as citizens, loyalty to our country. Maybe we should start being like these three men and showing our patriotism. Thank you.
Did you know that the Pledge of Allegiance is one of the most meaningful writings that we still use and honor today? Good afternoon, judges, parents, and fellow competitors. Americans say the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag every morning because they want to honor those who made and helped form America into the society it is today. The American Pledge of Allegiance has many important and meaningful sayings that helped build America into a better place. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the astonishing United States Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge translates to the following. I am loyal to the flag of the United States of America and to the government elected by the people for which it stands. We are one nation that is under God and are impossible to separate, providing freedoms and justice for all. This pledge may be presumed differently by many different people, but to me, the pledge states the important and amazing opportunities America has to offer. The pledge shows that the United States allows everyone to have a better life. The phrase that stands out to me in the American Pledge of Allegiance is liberty and justice for all, as the United States of America gives liberty and justice to all of its citizens. America gives opportunities for freedom and liberty no matter your race, religion, or gender, and makes sure every citizen is treated equally. This is important because it translates the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Additionally, in the Pledge of Allegiance, the phrase one nation, under God, indivisible, stands out to me since it shows me that our nation believes in a creator and that we can't be separated. This is significant because it shows that our country will always be unified, making us stronger together no matter what challenges, obstacles, or dangers we may face. The Pledge of the United States of America shows some, not all, of the great opportunities America has to offer to its citizens. This pledge may have been written a long time ago, but the writing is still very meaningful, and it still applies to Americans today. So, next time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, ask yourself, what can you do to show patriotism to your country? Thank you for your time and consideration.
How wonderful it is that nobody needs to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Those words were said by Anne Frank. Today, I'm going to talk about important responsibilities that young citizens have to their country and their community. Hello, fellow judges, parents, and contestants. My name is Connor Rose. Young citizens should show honor, responsibility, and patriotism by supporting our veterans, honoring the American flag, and appreciating our diversity. Veterans are essential to our nation. To me, veterans are more than essential. Veterans are the people who fought valiantly for our freedoms in our nation. This is important to me because my great-grandfather fought in World War II, both of my grandfathers fought in the Vietnam War, and both of my uncles fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. It makes me proud that my family wanted the world to be a better place. Veterans fulfilled their duties to their country, community, and especially their families. While veterans are sacrificing their lives, they had to leave their family to protect our country. Now that deserves our respect. Since we talked about veterans, let's talk about the American flag. The American flag is more than words. It's history itself. Us Americans honor the flag by saying the pledge and when it's half-mast. This is important to me because it symbolizes our pride as a nation. It holds justice and liberty for one another. The American flag has changed over time, from going to 13 colonies to 50 states with a new economy. The stars and stripes hold their own significance. Along with the American flag, diversity is another way to show responsibility. Nor black or white, boy or girl, we're all equal in American citizens. According to the Supreme Court, the value of diversity has been tested time and time again in American courts and within its communities. This is valuable because diversity shares our cultures, beliefs, and backgrounds. We can come together by celebrating national holidays. This helps show diversity. No matter what, you're protected from discrimination. No matter your race, religion, beliefs, national origin, or abilities, these are all essential ways to show diversity. As previously stated, it is important to show honor, responsibility, and patriotism. Thank you all for your time. Have a great day.
John F. Kennedy once said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Sometimes I see people take this country for granted, though this country grants us freedom like no other. Sometimes people, innocent people, are unlucky enough to be born in a country where something as little as speaking can cost them dearly. Therefore, I'm proud to live in a country where we have freedom of speech and rights that treat us all equally. I'd like to show my perspective on what we should do to show patriotism as proud Americans. Good afternoon, guests, judges, and fellow contestants. My name is Kyle Armstrong, and I present to you my thoughts on how to show patriotism to your country. 1. Taking care of the environment. Now, what does taking care of the environment do with making America a better place? Taking care of the environment means picking up plastic from the ocean, picking up trash from the street, and many other things that could clean up the country. But taking care of the environment also means taking care of the people around you. Donating to people in need, helping at a homeless shelter, or even just respecting a fellow American can make America a better place. The place we live in is the United States of America. United, meaning joined together as a team, meaning that we should be helping each other rather than dividing the country just because of people's race, culture, religion, etc. 2. Spreading patriotism. What's better than being patriotic? Spreading your respect for the country to influence others to be patriotic as well. For example, learn about American history and post an educational video on how soldiers died for our country for the sake of you and me, American citizens, and influence them to start being patriotic to the country for the soldiers, police, and the firefighters who have fallen for our freedom in the United States of America. 3. Sharing your opinion. Feel free to share what you believe isn't right. Nobody can stop you with your freedom of speech. You can also write a letter to a government official and tell them what you think needs to change. And trust me, we'll be open to your opinion, because if they never cared about people's opinions, they wouldn't allow anyone to vote. There are many ways to spread your opinion. You could start a march, protest, and even make a speech. Don't hide your thoughts because many people want to hear them. In conclusion, there are many ways to show patriotism to your country by taking care of the environment, spreading love for the country, and sharing your opinion. I believe working hard on just one of these steps can make you feel like a patriotic citizen in no time. My name is Kyle Armstrong, and thank you for your time.
I want you to think of a superhero. Not a hero from a comic book or movie, but someone who has saved and changed all of our lives. The definition for those heroes are called patriots. Is your number one favorite patriot a family member, firefighter, police officer, or someone who served in the United States Army? Well, my number one favorite patriot is my uncle who is currently serving in the United States Army, Colonel Glover. I've always wondered, how exactly is my uncle a patriot? How did he show respect to our gracious country, the United States? And why did he choose to be a loyal patriot? Hello, fellow contestants, judges, and guests. My name is Malachi James Glover, and this is my patriotic speech. Calvin Coolidge once said, "Patriotism is easy to understand in America. It means looking out for yourself by looking out for your country." In my family, there's a rich history of honorable military service. My great-grandfathers and grandfathers served in the United States Army and are now veterans. They want to serve in the U.S. Army because they thought it was important to do the right thing for our country. By serving in the Army, they were giving their immediate families the opportunity to have a good life and sense of pride in their country. My uncle wanted to travel all over the world and discover new skills. He followed in the footsteps of all my grandfathers by serving in the United States Army. In the Army, my uncle is a sergeant and does his job to the best of his ability. My uncle uses automobiles to carry and ship unique equipment from all over the world. For example, my uncle went to California to help the Union get all of their supplies to go to war. How many people can safely say that they can do that? Bob Marley once said, "The greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." My uncle and grandparents enjoyed this country, and they'll do anything to protect it. I totally agree with that. And because of their example, I'm considering joining the military as well when I get older. In conclusion, my uncle is a spectacular patriot. He would do anything to protect our country, as he gives respect to his ancestors that suffered slavery to bring us where we are today. Barack Obama once said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We're the ones we've been waiting for. We're the change that we speak." Many people are sacrificing their life for our country while I speak. So next time it's Veterans Day, Memorial Day, or any day, make sure the first thing you do is to thank our patriots for sacrificing their lives for our lives and for the sake of our precious country. Thank you.
We, the people of the United States of America, find ourselves at a critical juncture. Sadly, I say the words united very loosely. Abraham Lincoln warned us, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." What a tragedy to see a once great nation fall to self-serving conflict. But it is not too late to change course. I dream of a country, united, where not everyone has the same ideas, but where everyone has the same ideals. Emmanuel Cleaver hoped for a country acting on these shared ideals. He said, "Let's do more than just say the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us live it." Truly understanding, living, and saying the Pledge of Allegiance holds the key to change our course. Allegiance, unity, and liberty. Allegiance comes from the Latin root word allegare, meaning to bind ourselves to each other as allies and to our country. As allies, we unite together to promote the common good of all. Dwayne Dewey understood allegiance. He served his country as a U.S. Marine in the Korean War. One day while being treated for wounds, a live grenade landed right next to his feet. In a split second, he had to decide whether to run and save himself or to fall on the grenade and save the lives of others. What would you do? As a true ally, Dwayne, without hesitation, fell on the grenade, ultimately risking his own life to save the lives of others. Unity. John Dickinson said it best. United we stand, divided we fall. Not being as one really only hurts us in the long run. For example, try taking a pencil and breaking it. Pretty easy. Now take a whole stack of pencils and do the same. This makes the stack almost impossible to break. If we are united, nothing can break us. Tuesday, September 11, 2001 was the day that tested our country's unity. We call this day 9/11. Even though the towers were knocked down, our country was not. Liberty means that as Americans, we enjoy the freedoms of what to do, what to say, and what to believe. Imagine a country without liberty. How horrible. The Pledge of Allegiance states, with liberty and justice for all, meaning we claim these freedoms for ourselves and champion these freedoms for others. Ronald Reagan reminds us, liberty is not more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Allegiance, unity, and liberty, ideals and privileges we commit to and celebrate in the Pledge of Allegiance. When I say the Pledge of Allegiance, I stand all amazed at how fortunate we really are. Not only are these privileges, but these are guidelines. I believe that if we stick to being a true ally, uniting together, and enjoy the freedom to make our own choices, we will be indivisible as a country and better overall human beings. Thank you for your time.
Hello, audience, contestants, and judges. My name is GRAYSON GOSS. So, what is patriotism? Patriotism is when you support your country. My topic is, I am proud to be an American because we are an immensely powerful country. We are free, treated fairly, and have lots of inventions that make our lives easier. My first reason is we are an immensely powerful country. We have won many wars, including the American Revolution, World War I, and World War II. We may not be the most populated, nor the most technological, but with our allies, including Germany, Japan, and South Korea, we usually win. So our country is immensely powerful. My second reason is we are a free country. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Also, we are treated fairly most of the time, like in schools, jobs, and competitions. We have the same chance as almost anyone to open a business, get a degree, or just get a promotion. So we have the right to be free and to be treated fairly. My third reason is we have lots of inventions that make our lives easier. Most people have phones, iPads, watches, or even drones. Those things either make our lives easier or better by just entertaining ourselves or by giving us answers. People in the past made those things from nothing, and they made our lives easier. For example, an inventor may be Thomas Edison. He invented the light bulb for us to see in the dark with just the flip of a switch. Anyone here could be like him, even me. You just need an idea no one has thought of yet. We are an immensely powerful country. We are free, treated fairly, and have lots of inventions that make our lives easier. So since we're in America, why are you proud to be an American?